Most founders don't fail because they lack ambition. They fail because their businesses run on chaos, not systems. If you want to scale past $10 million in revenue without burning out, you need these 5 systems in your business to scale. Now, the first one is simple. You need a sales machine that works. The next one is part of that sales machine. You need a lead generation process that allows your sales team or sales to scale. You're going to need an operations system in place that allows you to bring in more talent, develop them, and manage all of those people, whether it be an org or just simple SOPs. And finally, if you're having success with those 4, it's time to buckle down on your finances and your legal to make sure that you're protected and that you're doing things compliantly. Now, let's jump into that sales process. The key in our business behind our sales process is what we call the sales framework, and it's super simple. We give a clear discovery section where we learn the pain points. We have a very concise pitch about what we can do based on their pain points if it's a good fit. And then once we confirm that we're the right solution for them, we go for that close. Now, close can be in a 1 call, 2 calls, sometimes 3 calls, but it's always having a clear ending and next steps to that call. So if they're interested, you book that follow-up, or you send the proposal and you say, I'm gonna check back in 2 days. So you set those clear expectations, or what we found that almost doubled our sales is just make sure to ask for the sale, especially if you have that spokesperson or key individual on the call. Assuming that you have all of that, which are just way oversimplified, the next step is your lead generation system. You need to find a way to repeatedly have leads on your calendar. And now with AI tools and automation, it's easier than ever, but also way more competitive. So what we want to do is, depending on your budget, I find that direct marketing is probably the most cost effective as you get started. Now, for some businesses, this is literally door to door. For other businesses, this is email marketing, sending DMs through Instagram, having someone literally flyer at a corner. This is what I call direct marketing. From there, you can scale to things that cost more or are longer term, like public relations, SEO, paid advertisements, social media. All of these things might take longer, but have huge impact into your business. Again, way oversimplified, but we're just talking about these highlights of these systems you need to really buckle down on, and they're in order, so you need to learn one at a time to really be successful. Now, that HR system, the ability to hire and scale top talent. I've developed an entire recruiting firm inside of my business that my HR coordinator handles, and what we do is we use an application tracking software, which may be overkill for some people, but you can just use something like Indeed, and we have people come in, but they go through a very specific process, which you can build out in that application tracking software or a CRM like Go High Level. Now, in this process, what happens is they apply, we automatically send them assessment. They do the assessment. If they pass the assessment, it'll automatically move them to a video interview. They do that video interview, and then we do a manual check of those videos, and we pick out the people we want to interview. And typically, if we have 20 people do that video assessment, we're going to take 1 interview, requiring hundreds of people to apply. And we do that because we're able to use this application tracking software that posts our job everywhere in the world, basically, and then we run advertising dollars to that. And it's allowed us to hire 1 in 1,000 people, growing our business faster than we can imagine. Now, if you've mastered this recruiting and HR system, which is difficult, and you have to build a reputation of being successful to get in the best talent and sell people on a dream, especially if you can't afford to hire the best talent, the next piece of that is going to be your operation system. This is probably where you need to spend a significant amount of time as you start to have that beginning success. Because once you scale past 10 clients, it's no longer something you can do yourself as an agency owner. You have to have talent and people to help you throughout that process if you're doing a service-based business. Now, these systems start with just hiring that person to organize it. Typically what you do, and a lot of people do this, is they take their most successful person and then make them the boss. Now, that works sometimes if they want to be a manager, but not everyone goes from an individual contributor well to management. So it's one of the things that you either have to train them to do, you have to hire someone that's done it as a manager in the past, or you have to find some kind of solution to really develop your team and pick out that person that wants to move to the next level in your organization. Now, I mentioned organization. It sounds so silly when you think about it, but a lot of businesses are missing a clear org, meaning they don't know who reports to who is their boss, who they need to functionally listen to. And a lot of times CEOs and founders and owners have trouble giving away responsibilities. And I've been stuck on several in the past, like billing, just because I was worried there's gonna be a mistake. And if there was a mistake, it was money and issues, no money in the account, theft, whatever. Let me tell you, every job you can replace yourself. Your job as a founder or owner is to replace yourself every single day in the business and to make sure that other people are doing those key tasks and they can do it better than you. I promise, if you hire the right person with the right resources. I'll tell you a short story about my business. We scaled from 0 to 10 to 70 to 6 figures, and we've never gone back. What happens is if you don't have clear legal systems in place, we had a whole bunch of clients who just decided they didn't want to pay. We had done a really good job. We had email communications back and forth, but we had no contracts in place, and they just said they didn't have permission to charge my card. And as simple as that. It happened repeatedly, which means it wasn't just like a bad apple. It was just a system that we allowed them to do. We lost every single dispute because we had no contracts in place. So very simple solution. We've lost $45,000 like that. It was tax season, people were doing their accounting. I don't know what happened. It's no longer an issue for us, but for some reason they just felt like they didn't need to pay us. And so what we did was we built out a legal system where we had contracts and we had different things in place, and we made sure that our sales team really explained the billing process a little bit more clearly, and we tried to close all of those gaps. And that was a key piece of us being successful, is people had to sign these documents, they really understood what they were doing, and they felt bound to that versus just a handshake over a phone call. All of these 5 processes are key in building your business, as well as on that legal side, the financial side. We went from just using a credit card and our expenses were crazy to moving to a financial system. We currently use bill, spend, and expense, also known as Divvy, for all of our credit card transactions. It allows us to have budgets and things like that, and it builds a really good system, but it also reduces our accounting time by over 100 hours a month because it automatically transacts and tracks each movement, and we can assign budgets to individuals, so it just streamlines everything so simply for us. Now, I know this video was very high level. However, if you guys want access, I am just opening up Founder System AI, where I focus on building systems for executives to allow their business to grow past $10 million. If that sounds like you, make sure to subscribe down below and we'll get you more information.